Hey guys, Father Time, here we are for TFDi MD-11. We're going to fly it from Amsterdam to Brussels. Think you're going to like it. We're going to use an FSiPanel program here. Here it comes. It's booting up. Okay, if you haven't flown with me before in the FSI using the FSiPanel, go to their website. I'll leave the link in the description below, and buy this program. It's great. Buy the MD-11. Buy this program. You'll have a lot of fun with it. The what you do to go in and get started is you go to setup. You want to go whatever units you want to use. The database is correct. Today is the 16th of July. You can define your base final. This is how you go do quick approaches right there. What do you want that position to be? You got to come in with setup and change the wherever you define what is a left vector short final by putting in the parameters in here. Also, you want to come in and do cockpit flows. I have select the button, hostic stick. Do you want to use keyboards? No, I want to use a joystick. So I just go to I'm going to use my hostic stick, which is my nose wheel steering. I'm going to click my trigger. That's the one I want to use, whatever lights up. Now you've got cockpit flows, which will do the before start, after start, before takeoff lineup, after landing, and shutdown checklist for you. We'll show you that as we get going. So you're starting to build yourself a co-pilot here. Pretty cool. The airplane will do landing reports. When you're done, we'll take a look at that. Hopefully I can show you a good one. These are the big ones. These are fully covered. You can do malfunctions with this, take snapshots. It'll do your FMC work for you. It'll load your glacier control panel, or mode control panel, flight control panel for you. These are the big ones. Leonardo Mad Dog, PMDG 73777, fly-by-wire A320. You guys can read in the Phoenix. Others, we're going to be in the MD-11. Going to open the scenario manage, and MD-11 is in the beta stage. See the others? I'll show you this. These are the ones that are hopefully going to make it up to the big top. I'm pushing the MD-11 since I was involved with the quality assurance on it. And as you can see, after landing, when we track one notch of flap with either the F6 key or with your whatever you have programmed for it, it'll do the after landing flow for you. But we have all those flows built in that we just showed you. Scenarios, open scenario manager. You remember push to talk, you want to set that up. Auto tune the comm on standby, click that box. After a few seconds it'll auto tune the frequency they just gave you. Enable push to talk, which is just like VATSIM or IVAO. I've got it set to my Boeing yoke, and say again button, I've got that set to my hostage stick just by selecting, clicking, and whatever comes in green. And also audio, we're going to use voice and text. If you want the most realistic, use only voice. Scenario manager, we open that. Okay, these are the big ones. Whoa, nope, we're on there. So anything that's in the advanced edition of Microsoft Flight Simulator or these add-ons, you'll be able to do these scenarios with. Scroll down generic and find your, in this case, KLM. That's the wrong one. That's Brussels to Amsterdam. We're doing Amsterdam to Brussels. And it's a runway 18 left, level 2 out of 4 for difficulty. Moderate difficulty. Origin airport is Hamburg. Cruise altitude's 13,000, and the start at gate D27, D52, your choice. And then you want to go to your lesson plan and download the scenario. And what that does is put the preset weather into your presets. We'll come back and take a look at that in just a minute. Okay, once you've done that, that's loaded in green. You can open your lesson plan. Now I go ahead and I write down a lot of stuff. Try to shorten the amount of time it takes me to run through the profile, but go through and it tells you where to start, what altitude, which gate to start at. Here's your clearance you're going to get, your weather, all the stuff you could be anticipating. Here's your parking gate. It's either D27 or D52. Will be D52, nose to the right, and take a Alpha 9 left on Bravo and short of Alpha 12 is what we're going to get. Initial taxi Alpha 9 Bravo. I've done this on the let's see, Leonardo MD-82 and I've done this on the A300-600. I'm going to do it today on the MD-11. Maybe I'll do it on the 777 tomorrow. It's a good one. It's a lot of FMC work, directs, runway changes, change of approaches, things like that. So it's good. This is great practice for VATSIM IVAO. Land and go around. You can read through the whole package, and I write down the frequencies just so I'm ready to go in case I miss a frequency change or something goes wrong with the AutoFreak. Today we'll be using the pre-flight checklist. These are all available on my Discord. The link will be below. Go to MD-11 Manuals, and you'll have all these here. These are not TFDi, even though I was involved with TFDi, these are not TFDi checklists, but I'll be using these. There's a normal, there's the FMS guide, there's the emergency procedures. This is the welcome message that I made up for cockpit orientation. Basically, you go to the table of contents. You can do anything to orientate yourself. It's made with a combination of manuals. And then flight design training manual. If you go down here, it tells you how to do a bunch of different maneuvers. You guys can see that and go through that. And then this is a cool one. This is my interactive cockpit. TFDi is making up all of their own manuals, all the checklists, everything. This is just some stuff that I did. I did show it to them. They were very appreciative. It helped them a little bit, but they're doing their own stuff, understandably. Any box you see, like this is my panel here. How do you manipulate the glacial control panel? This whole thing's the glacial control panel. These are EISs. That's the flight control panel, FCP. And it tells you how to manipulate that. And when you go back to the interactive cockpit, you click on the home button. Return the slide at any time on home. Oh, let's see. How about the air panel? And this panel was graciously provided by the pilots of UPS via the website, and it gives full credit for that. This is for training only. We know that, but these are up-to-date system manuals for those of you who like to read, like me. PFD, all different types of things. A lot of it derived from that UPS site, MD11.com website, and then a lot of them also are my own creations. The alerts explaining what a level 1 alert is, level 2, level 3. Yeah, so for those of you who really like to read, this is hydraulic panel, all the different stuff that I'll be talking about today. Very cool, right? I think so too. And there's our lesson plan. Let's close that out, and let's just go in and start the scenario. So what you do is once you download the weather, you close out FSiPanel, and you boot up Microsoft Flight Simulator, and we're going to go to the world map. We're going to do McDonnell Douglas MD-11 with GE engines, and I'm going to, there it is, we're going to go out of Amsterdam, KHAM, EHAM, yeah, EHAM, Schiphol, and they said either Delta 27, Delta 52, right? There it is, D52. Set as departure. So get D52, set as departure, flight conditions. You want to set the preset and go to the weather for KLM. It's very important that you start at the correct gate and the correct weather for each profile that you do. There's some of the ones that I've already done. And KLM says 1723, but it'll be called 61 Alpha. And you close it out, set your time around 10 a.m. That's all good, and you boot it up and get started. So I'm going to take it from a cold, dark airplane for you, and I'm going to fly us over to Brussels. This particular profile going to be full ATC comm. It's going to have any one of 3 approaches. You don't really know which one you're going to get. Right now we're planning on taking off according to the profile on 18 left and landing ILS Zulu 25 left. That's what the plan is. But they change the runway. They give you different clearances. It's kind of an FMC exercise as you make your descent and approach on the star in there with some crossing restrictions. It's kind of a handful for a short flight, got to be honest. I'll be humping as we do this stuff. Hey, don't forget to subscribe, guys. Don't forget to go to our Discord. Join the Discord, please. Join the FSiPanel Discord after you buy it. Very, very helpful over there. And please feel free to comment, offer any suggestions, comments. I always appreciate that. It really helps me out. We'll be right back. All right, here we are, beautiful Amsterdam. I just love this part. You know, I can't do this kind of a presentation, so I let the pros show us around. There we are in the MD-11. You can see the weathering on it in this particular skin. This is one of the official skins liveries that comes from TFDi on their website. They have some official downloads. So this one is one of them. A beautiful paint job. I've always liked the KLM paint job. Let's go inside. Before we go, let's go outside.
This parking is too small for your aircraft. This parking is too small for your aircraft.
Let me do request boarding.
Boarding requested.
Get our people coming. I always love this stuff. There it comes. There she is. Doors are opening for them. I haven't touched anything.
Do you want to board crew?
Of course. Bring them on board.
Pilot's boarding starting.
See the TVs in the overhead? It brings back memories every time I come through here. From I last flew this in 1997. All right, let's go back here and let's get started on our cold dark airplane and get us a nice lesson, a nice tutorial. All right, cold dark airplane in the cockpit. Beautiful job, guys. Beautiful job. I'm just going to come back here and we're going to go through some circuit breakers. Advanced simulation package is coming. It's not going to be here till the end of 2024, but you'll have to do all the engine failures, pull some of the circuit breakers, do that stuff if you're one of those guys. A lot of guys do like that. It's something I've had to get used to. I'm more interested in the pilot stuff. How does it fly? But a lot of the cosmetic stuff and the details and the lighting, guys are real interested in. Oxygen bottle in the green. First observer's audio panel. The seat swivels forward. Oxygen Max first aid kit, all good. There's another oxygen bottle in the green. We come through here. Third oxygen bottle's there.
Your crew has boarded.
I keep saying oxygen bottle. How about halon fire extinguishers to fight fires? This is the mask you put on to fight fires. Pressure breathing. Hood that goes over your head. Make sure that blue seal is not broken. You can see the little seal on here. It's the red seal. The gear pins are there. Flashlights there. Doors. Close and lock. You can open it if you want. See the people coming in out there. I love it. I love it. Anyway, a lot of fun. I love playing with this stuff. But we check all the circuit breakers. Best way to see the circuit breakers, of course, is to come and look at them sideways. You can best see if they're popped. See the white paint underneath it. And we do that all the way around. And we come up the middle.
Good morning.
Right, we make sure the rate, we're going to put power in the airplane, so we want to make sure some safety things are done here. We also need to get some cooling air for these people. Radar's off, fuel cutoff switches are cut off, and the start selectors are pushed in, throttle's right, reverses are down, spoiler lever's down, flaps are up, gear handle's down. Go to the overhead, and make sure that the fuel dump switch is off, covered, the manifold switch is covered in no light. This available light means that the external power is available and the parameters are good. 400 on the freaks and volts are 115. With that, you can turn on the battery, lift the cover, push the button, and turn on the external power. And the CRTs will take about a minute to boot up. TFDi's done it in about 5 seconds, so you can get on with your flight. They consciously made that a little quicker. 6 identical CRTs, 3 identical MCDUs for different functions. Okay, with that out of the way, we'll get the IRSs going here. When I do, we'll get a cargo fire test. Just turn that on, come down and make sure you get the cargo fire messages, master warning, push that. Back to the overhead. People are coming on, so I do want to get a APU started So I'm going to do a fire test. There are fire handles, APU, and 3 fires plus the APU fire, master warning, master caution, and 3 lights in the handle. Push the master warning, make sure the light goes out. And with that, you can get the APU started.
Hello.
I'm going to push it here. 2 ways to start the APU. I'm going to start it from the electrical panel. You can also start it from the start switch up here on the APU panel. I don't recommend it. The electrical panel gives you a couple more protections and some auto shutdown features after the APU bleed is deselected and a cool down period is gone. So I use the APU switch. Let's go to the electronic flight bag. We'll go over that real quick. First thing we'll do, let's go to options. Dispatch, do whatever you want here. Manpad defense system, they actually have that. I think FedEx has that on their airplanes. IRS's, I had it on instant. I usually have it on realistic, 10 minutes a line, not a big deal. Put in your sim brief username, your hoppy code if you're going to go VAT simming or IVAO, so you can have CPDLC, ACARS messages. You got to pause at top of descent if you're going to use 4 times, 2 times, or regular time, but you want it to stop at the top of descent while you sleep or you go to dinner or whatever, and save it. Systems, whatever systems you want. I'm going to use round dial, not this. I'm going to use bars, although we had single queue at American Airlines. The bat wings, I'm going to use the crosshairs, and you see the rest. Caution and warning system, I've got them all activated. You can read for yourself. Performance, don't touch anything there. And that's the options. Once you've done that, go over to dispatch, import flight plan. Oh, where is it here? And hang on 1 second. I'm not sure. Let's try that again. There it is. Amsterdam to Brussels. You see it 13,000 feet. That's our block view. Everything looks good. I'm going to send it the flight plan to the FMC. Look for the message down there. Looks good. I'm going to set the payload right there. It's as simple as that. When you want to, if you want to do departure charts, Navigraph. If you want this to be active, you can either go to the Navigraph site and use that, or you can scan in, which I'll scan in.
Good morning.
Using my phone. It's asking me if I approve and allow, and the count is linked. And with that, you're now fully operational. And there we go. You can go to taxi, get yourself all the way down to the 10-9, but I'll be using my Navigraph account. And services, passenger doors open. Let's see, cargo door, I think I'm already closed. They're already activated. GPU, I'm going to disconnect that because we have the APU started. I'm going to remove the wheel chocks, and if you take a look down, brakes are not parked. In order to set the brakes, you got to push down on the pedals and then pull on the handle. To release the brakes, push on the pedals. But to set it, you got to push down the pedals and then release the brakes. You know, it's funny, they're showing that the doors are closed. Oh, they already are. They already got the cargo on. So that's accurate. That was fast. Okay, good. Because we want to be fast, right? Let's go back in. So that's a review. You can change the state. Cold, dark, ready to start, last save, but we're, of course, cold, dark. So we've reviewed the EFB. The last thing to do would be performance. Let me just show you something. If they're going to give you an intersection takeoff, like today, let me go into the EFB, get a little close up for you guys. There we are at Amsterdam. We're supposed to take off on 18 left.
Hello.
So we got to click down to 18 left. 18 left. 12,000 foot runway. But let's say, for argument's sake, not argument, we want to do an intersection takeoff. Here we are, Amsterdam to Brussels, 10-9. And we push back. This is the clearance that was on the lesson plan. Alpha 9, left on Bravo, hold short of Alpha 12. And they may offer us an Echo 5 takeoff. Well, you can see Echo 5 is about 2,000 feet down this 11,000 foot runway. So we'll take off 2,000 on the EFB. Let's take a look at that.
Hello.
Now, the truth is you'd have a takeoff performance sheet in the aircraft from your company, but that's okay. You can change the runway length. Let's say we'll go all the way down. Can we do it? We'll go all the way down to 9,000 feet, right? Load up the weather, click there, load the weather up. Takeoff weight. Let's get the takeoff weight from the box.
Good morning.
Flaps, we're going to go 15. just because I want to. And packs are on. MD-11 always
Welcome on board.
defaults to packs off for the TPS and the FMN. That's what it did in the real airplane too. Don't know why. Usually that's the exception. And then you calculate when you get that all filled out.
This way.
And we've got 36, 36, 57, 59 on our bugs.
Hello.
59 is the flex temp. All right, so that's the review of the electronic flight bag. Let's go to the FMC, because what we should do, we've got the MD-11 database, flight plan and net,
Welcome on board.
initialize the IRS within 10 minutes, and then we're going to have to
Welcome on
set up
board.
the box here. KBOS is our alternate. Flight is KLM 61 Alpha.
This way.
We're going over at 13,000 feet. If you wanted to put in
This way,
step
please.
climbs on a long flight, just put slashes in here, then a /S in the flight level. I'll beam those flight plans, and you've got yourself a step climb profile.
Hello.
As long as you put the top altitude in the window. Which, when would you use that? Only in the simulator world. Temperature.
Hello.
So if you go to your flight plan, if you want to put in the temperature, right now we don't have wind capability.
Welcome
Downloading
on
that, that's coming. The temperature here is +4, and then the wind is -18. +4, -18. So if you multiply your altitude times 2, that's 26. Make it a negative. -26, add 15, -11, +4,
Pass, please.
-7. So it's -7 temperature. Don't ask me how I did that. -7 temperature, and
Good morning.
remember that our winds
Good
are
morning.
-18 headwind, so -18. Is it really critical you put those winds in? Probably not, but
This way.
we do them, and hopefully we'll get those wind update capability in the next couple of months here. But for the long haul, it helps a lot. But those are your average winds, average temperature for the flight. It will tell you if your fuel burn's going to be accurate. 103 miles, distance, cost index 127, 127. Looks like the people are on board. So what I'm going to do is go up here, guys. We're in a big
This
hurry
parking
today, aren't
is
we?
too small for your
Prepare for
aircraft.
pushback. Let them get banging around out there. I'll get this guy set up over here to legs, because I'm going to be on flight plan. All right, that's page 1 of 3. Next page, taxi fuel off the flight plan is 2. Reserve
Hello,
plus alternate
Captain. We are ready for pushback.
is reserve, and alternate is 6.5. Reserve is 4. 10.6 total. So 10.6, and I'm just going to put that in here. What you should be able to do is put in your alternate fuel and your reserve fuel and whatever you want on final. Not yet modeled. There's your fuel. I'm going to go for my 0 fuel weight.
Departure checks completed. Bypass pin inserted.
371.3. 371.3. If you guys enjoy this, don't forget to comment. Recommend me to your friends and family. So there it is. Page 3 is just dump information and fueling panel information. With that, we can go to the flight plan. And we're going to go from Amsterdam. It's the Kudo 1 Echo off 18 left, Woody, and the Woody 8 Alpha. So it's 18 left. Always choose the runway first. That way you get the proper departures. Kudo 2 Echo now. No transition. And that's it. Insert it. And there it is, up to Kudad. Kudad. And the star. Make sure you do the approach first. We're planning on ILS 25 left, Zulu. And a transition off ANT. And it was the Woody 8 Alpha. No transition, insert. And then of course what you do is you start off on the ref page. You go to the aircraft status with the other guy, walk through the database, make sure it's current, make sure that your flight plan init, all the pages are filled out, which they are. And then you go to your flight plan, make sure you have all your appropriate departures and arrivals, walk through the legs. You would go to plan on your mode here as you walk through, looking for any discontinuities. We're not going to spend a lot of time on that. And walk all the way through, and then go to your prog, and you see that it's 114. It was 107 on the flight plan. That's reasonable. So now that box is loaded. Go to takeoff. Put in your flex temp 59 off the what you got off the EFB there. Performance page 15. Slope 0. Wind 0. Outside air temperature. It's 10 out there. So it's 10 Celsius. So we have to put in a 10 C. Hey guys, this will all be time stamped. So if you need to, we'll let it clean up at 3,000 above the ground. 36, 36, 57 is fine. And they're in pink there. That's all good. So the box is loaded. I'm on takeoff data, and he's on, or she's on, legs page. All right, let's do the overhead. Remember, one guy be doing the walk around in the overhead. The other guy be loading the box. So let's go to the overhead and do our flow that I showed you on the pre-flight checklist. This flow right there, followed very quickly thereafter by the normal checklist, which will run together. I'll be using this. There's an FMS checklist, all from my website. Emergency procedures card for any problems you might have. It's a welcome pack for TFDi. Just a little bit about the history of the airplane with an interactive table made from old manuals. Design training. This is training manual, Cat 3, all sorts of things. Back to table of contents, engine failure view 1, what you do, how you do it, techniques. Here's an interactive systems panel. All these are not TFDi videos of checklists, and it's not a TFDi video either. They do not use this. They use their own. This is just something I made up. Is engine fire panel. This is from the MD-11 website, courtesy of the UPS pilots. It's no longer active. Some of these slides are mine. Some of them are back to home here. Some are from other sources. There it is. I just did that. So anyway, you get the idea. Radio panels, comm panels. A lot of fun to click around there, study the airplane, and there's our lesson plan from this flight. But we're going to use this flow here on the pre-flight and get this done and get underway to Brussels. All right, going to go to the columns first. You can see this is model. Watch this pop into the green band here. See, that's the voice recorder circuit breaker. It's popped in. If you want to erase it, so you say something inappropriate, it'll erase, press and hold that, erase the last 30 seconds. Never done that. So let's do with the overhead. Generator bus fault lights are out. Galleys, they would trip if you, sometimes a single power source is too much, but you get those on to get the coffee brewing. We've got, oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't turn in the APU air to get it cooling back there. Puppies in the back, leave it on high. We usually go high, put this on 12 o'clock. FADAC, which is like the EEC on other aircrafts for N1 control, EPR control, is there. Wipers are off. All the way up top, these are the fire handles. Make sure they're in the normal position. This is the hydraulic system. Run a test. Don't even look at it, but you could follow it along on the schematic from the system display panel if you wanted as it runs its test. You'll see the different pumps coming on, pressure lights going out. Turn on the emergency power lights, emergency power system. That's down to battery power. It runs a static inverter. External power is off. APU is on. The rest of this is good. This is drive like integrated drive generator. Kick off the generator if it's low oil pressure or high oil temperature. Cannot reconnect those in the air. Cabin bus. The smoke elimination. Think of God bless them, Swiss Air 111 over Nova Scotia. They would maybe running this checklist, trying to find the source of the smoke. Of course, they never had a chance. You can see the test running up there. A couple of things to look at here. It's kind of fun. Is that you get a better look at this air panel here. So, ways to save fuel. Put in your pax load. Today, our number of passengers is, I always tried to find this, 268 plus 8 flight attendants, so 276. So if you put in 276, what this does is it tells the bleeds, the air system, how much it needs from the bleeds. Because it'd be real nice if you didn't have anyone on board, if you left a 0 in there, you're just ferrying it, it would not demand much, thereby saving fuel. Same thing with econ over there. It's always an econ. If you turned it off, we used to turn it off to clear out cigarette smoke. You 1% higher fuel burn. System should be in auto, not manual. And these are the mass switches. Naturally, they drop by themselves at 14,000 feet, but you would always, or the procedure is to press and hold that if some of them get stuck, and you can actually press and hold it for 1 second to make sure you pop them all down. Fuel panel, it's going to go to 18880 and then 10.5. And then 10.5. And then on the fuel, total fuel, you'll be looking for 52.4. 52.4. That's a good fuel panel test. Only exception is if you're doing an ER bird, they did make 5 of them, and that is an option if you buy the upper end packages with TFDi. You have some extended range, which are fun to have for the super long haul in Microsoft Flight Simulator, and they did make them. The only difference there would be the totalizer would say 63, not 52.4. That's thanks to Moosestaffa for pointing that out for me. Coming down here, I put my for the sim purposes, my overhead panel, I put all my lights up. I find it gets a little dark at times, so I put these 3 up. Those 4 switches up, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I also do this one on the clear shield control panel. Turn these up, and then lastly, you can go down to your radio panel here, and you kind of squat down until the fuel switches are up. And these are your systems display control panel. This turns up your right here, and this turns up your CRT lightings for your 6 CRTs for your PFD, ND, EAD, and SD. Take a look at the system display control panel. A light on means there's malfunction associated with it. Status page lists them all. So we see we have an engine and miscellaneous. Engine miscellaneous. Which one is engine? Well, click on the lip 1, and it tells you it's engine ignition not armed. All right, and if you go to status, it shows you all the open ones. We'll come back to that as we're not done with the pre-flight just yet. Okay, back to the overhead. Way that they fuel this bird, they fill up the mains first evenly. Well, the best way to look at that, let's look at the systems display panel under fuel. You can see that these are 3 mains. It fills up the 1, 2, and 3 mains evenly, and then you can see that the number 2 main is larger, fills that up so evenly. When the outboards are full, fills that number 2 up until that's full. Then upper aux, lower aux tail. The tail goes back and forth for CG purposes and fuel freezing. If you get within 3 degrees of the fuel freezing temperature, it'll cycle the fuel between the tail and on forward up into the mains. And anyway, at the tail that does that for CG, also keep a nice cruise CG. It'll stop doing it at 19,750 feet. It transfers it all forward. TFDi has it set to transfer it all forward by the top of descent. But the real airplane, it started at 19,750. It stops the whole fuel freeze and CG operation and sends it forward into the mains. Anyway, just a little bit of a fuel trivia for you. If you were to hit a dump switch like that and start dumping, it dumps at 5,600 pounds per minute. You would see the dump diagram come here, and you get some information on dumping up there. For dumping, you go to init page 3, and it's going to dump to max landing weight unless you tell it otherwise by putting in a different weight on here. Fuel facts trivia. Okay, so got the lights turned on here, emergency lights, put that armed. You can test it if you want. No smoking's on. Within 5 minutes, seatbelt sign on. We'll put that on. They'd make a PA. Nav lights should have been on as soon as we put power on the aircraft. All the rest of the lights are out. So you can see we have 3 lights out, 3 lights on, even though these are off lights. That's what it looks like. All the way up top, got the APU panel. We did the fire test. Evac switch should be in armed. If you want to do evac, you click this up, go to on, and it will start going. If you want to silence the horn so you can hear yourself think, but it still goes in the back, you pull on that switch right there. It silences the horn in the cockpit. This is the AFS panel. It controls a bunch of things. It has yaw dampers. That's for Dutch roll, to dampen that out on these big, giant, long airplanes. And then LSAS, launched through the famous LSAS on the MD-11. Very famous, because it's almost like control wheel steering. It feels kind of stiff. Got a couple of pounds of thrust, a couple of pounds of force fighting you on your movements That's the longitudinal stability augmentation system. It's put on when they stretch the DC-10 to make the MD-11 to give it longitudinal stability. This is the flap limit override to auto, and that'll give you flap blow up, other things. And elevator feel, as the airplane gets going faster, you got to be more and more careful with the yoke so you don't over G it. Well, the elevator feel, as you go faster, increases the pressure you need to put in your yoke so that you don't over G it. That's elevator feel. All the lights are out there. When the IRSs are not aligned, you'll have your yaw damper lights on. This is your cabin pressure panel system. Make sure it's not in manual. And the checklist says make sure the outflow valve is open. If you go down to the system display control panel, go to the air, there's your outflow valve right there. It's open. There's your landing elevation from your box. It tells you 175 over Brussels. If you want to change your landing elevation for whatever reason, you could do it. Go to manual and set your landing altitude right there. This is engine and ice, wing anti-ice. Wing anti-ice is in the air only above 1,000 feet. Engine ice, you're on the ground, 10 degrees Celsius or 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Visible moisture, visibility less than a mile, or taxiways and runways have visible moisture on it, like snow, slush, if you're 10 degrees. Right now we are 10 degrees, but there's no visible moisture. We're going to turn on the windshield anti-ice, defog light out, because if you push it, it's off. So we fly with the defog and windshield anti-ice on for the whole flight. That'll come off during shutdown. Enunciator test, look at that. There it is. Do you know how hard it is to get this to work? It checks every light bulb in the cockpit. It's also the one we push when children come to visit the cockpit. They love that. Cargo door test, if you wanted to, you could run that. Fuel use, you reset your fuel. Engine max pointer, before you set your max pointer, make sure you check your engine instruments, make sure there's no red boxes, exceedances, in which case you would definitely want to call maintenance. Let me go back to the map on here. We'll come here in a minute. Remember, it's all time stamped, so you can beam around if you want. Windshield wipers, we talked about off. This is cabin call lights. You can reset them for anyone calls you. Up to the top column, these circuit breakers are in. GPWS train override. If you are VMC, not IMC, and you're getting a train, pull up, caution, train. You probably have a malfunction in either your navigation system, your GPS, or you have a malfunction in the actual system. You can go to train override. Sometimes it happens, you're going into a Caribbean island, and you're over the water, and it's telling you this train. So you just go train override. You got to be DMC. Flap override is it's in normal. If you got an engine out, you're going to fly, flaps 28 approach or something, or it's a hydraulic problem, flight control, or the flaps get jammed, or the slats get jammed. You'll have to run a checklist. You go to flap override because it's an abnormal, meaning not 35 or 50. You'll get a flap warning. This will keep you from getting a flap warning. If you want to test it, brace yourself.
Glide slope. Pull up.
It's going to go through
Terrain,
all the
terrain.
6
Pull
different
up.
GPWS
Pull up.
warnings.
Sink rate. Flaps.
And guess what I have? Here it
Too
is.
low,
These are
terrain.
the modes being tested.
Glide
You see
slope.
it's for excessive descent
Too
rate,
low,
excessive
terrain.
closure to terrain, altitude
Caution,
loss after
terrain.
takeoff, unsafe terrain, and descent
Caution,
below glide slope.
terrain.
Test complete. If
Terrain,
it fails,
terrain.
you get a GPS
Pull up. Pull
fault
up.
message goes away. So anyway, that's... you know what? I'll put this up on my MD-11 manuals on my Discord as well. But I did a whole video on this when it was in the beta testing. Fabio Almeida, kudos to him for coming up with that and getting that all programmed. That was a lot of work. Another thing we pushed, the enunciator lights plus the GPWS to make the airplane talk to the children. Think of this as the Sully switch landing in the Hudson. Closes the outflow valve and the overboard exhaust valve so the airplane floats better, the ditching switch. And this is just because they had room here. They put a placard for a pressurization schedule. Now we're going to come across the glacial control panel up here. The whole thing is a GCP. These are EISs on the side, and this is a FCP in the middle. FCP, EIS, GCP. I'm going to select the modes I want. Look down this box. I'm going to go data, traffic, and airport. I like to have those displayed there. I'm going to put my altimeter set, and I'm going to change it up here. I want 1019, not 3009. 1019. Plan mode, it goes to true north, and you can walk through the points. Map mode's what you fly in. If you want to see, you're welcome just to use your nav to fly a VOR, but if you want to see the round dial, you can do that. Same thing with approach for the ILS or TCAS if you wanted. But we tend to fly it with just and map. Here's your range, here's your VORs, but also you can find out what's being tuned right down here on your nav rad or manually tune them if you want. ILS tunes within 25 minutes. Make that, excuse me guys, 25 miles of the airport. So if you put in a approach 100 miles out, it's not going to auto tune until 25 miles. You can manually tune it via the code like IJFK/course or the actual freak 1095043, or let it auto tune. I tend to let it auto tune for the purpose of this demonstration. Gaussian control panel, the way to manipulate it. Whenever you look here, all you have required to check during the pre-flight, indicated airspeed Mach, make sure it's an indicated airspeed. Heading track, make sure it's in heading. Feet and meters, make sure it's in feet. Vertical speed, flight path angle, make sure it's in vertical speed. That's really on the pre-flight all you're set to do. But today, we're going to set it for our departure. And the way that you manipulate this panel, this is the first time you've ever flown this, right? It's a push-pull. So in the real MD-11, if you push, which is indicated by this arrow, hover over, find the push. That's push. It gives you what's in the window or your current altitude. So if you push, you're climbing out through 9,000 for 20,000. They say, hey, American, hold your altitude. And you push on it, it'll do altitude hold. This is level change. Altitude hold is push. Level change is pull. Heading select is pull, but heading hold is push. Airspeed hold is push. Airspeed select in the window is pull. That's how you do it. But we are going to get in our runway heading. And let me use this. Runway heading. It's 181. Off the 10-9. I'm using my Logitech panel. You could spin it around with your mouse wheel. 6,250. So before we continue on, let's take a look at the where we are, where we're going. So here we are at the gate. Let me get this little guy showing here. There we are. We're going to nose to the right. We're going to plan on going out Alpha 9 Bravo, hold short of A12, and we'll have to make a decision on which, if we want to use Echo 5. We already did the takeoff data for that. And our SID. Our SID that we're scheduled to fly is a Kudo 2 Echo, 18 left, transition altitude. This is what's tricky on this thing. Transition altitude is 3,000 feet. You got to go 1013. Remain on tower freak until passing 2,000. Then contact Schiphol departure. So they're going to have us remain on tower freak till 2,000. So we've got 2,000. We're going to be going to tower. 3,000 doing the standard, leveling off at flight level 60. So it's a lot of chances to make mistakes there. 2,000 going to tower, going to departure. 3,000 getting our altimeter set, leveling off at flight level 60. And it's if you take a look at our box, AMP, let's see, 630, 250, and I think there was also an airspeed restriction, if I'm not mistaken. For departure instructions, refer to 10-3. Let me take a look at things. I think there might have been 10-3. Departure or 220 until 6. But I don't see it. Refer to airport briefing, pages 10-1P. So, Air Force 10-1P. Where'd be that one, huh, guys? Taxi SID, procedures. Kudo 2 Echo, charts, 10-13. I do remember at one point there was a 220 until 6. I really can't find it. If I go to the Schiphol departure here, let me just do this thing. 10-3. This CUDA 2 Echo. It tells me to refer to page 10-3 for departure instructions. Refer to 10-3. And when I go to 10-3, remain on tower freak till 2000, then Chipole departure. And then I don't see anything that says 220. I don't know where I got that. Perform turns in 220. But anyway, you do a thorough review of the departure, and that's our plan. And as you can see, there's no requirement to maintain a low airspeed. So that's good. So now all we have to do here is put 250. The way this works, guys, is you have takeoff data. The airplane, if you're in profile mode, which will be today, it's going to maintain V2 into whatever you have in here. So we have in 3000 AFL. Believe it or not, it's minus 11 field elevation here, minus 11. Hence all the dams in Amsterdam. Thrust reduction will be 1,500 feet. Excel at 3,000. It's going to maintain V2 until 3,000 if we're in profile, and then it will accelerate to 250 below 10. So 2,000, we're going to go to departure. 3,000, get standard set 1013, climbing to flight level 60, eventually going to 13, and that's that. Our glacier control panel is now completely briefed. Gears down, center gear. If you want to leave it up by procedure, you click here. I've never done that. Don't even know why you would. I'm going to go gauge the attitude indicator, standby attitude indicator. I'm going to cross-check come across here. No unwanted flags. Eventually, we're going to take off with nav and profile on here. And we'll let it fly. We'll show you that on the way we go. We got the speeds in magenta, no unwanted flags, radio altimeter set in case we have to come back in here. 800 foot is the engine out altitude. We've got traffic data, airport, no unwanted flags on the ND. Weather is off. We could test it. Not yet modeled. The radar is not yet modeled with weather is off. Weather is not yet modeled with this aircraft. So that'll be for another day. And there we go. Terrain or weather. Weather off. I'll take off with terrain on right there. Coming in the middle. There we go. Altimeter set. For the throttle quadrant, checking the takeoff data, the takeoff warning horn.
Full lap. Flat. Brake. Full lap.
2 and 3 together.
Full lap. Flat. Brake. Full lap.
The only thing it's not checking is trim because it's actually in the green band. Although we really should be doing 4.8. You can put 4.8 on the stab trim. You set it to 3 after landing so that when you look outside, you can look at, there's a tick mark on the tail to tell you if it's 3 degrees nose up or 0. That way you can see if the trim is properly calibrated. All right, back to the throttle quadrant. We did the takeoff warning test. Dial a flap, you set your takeoff flap. A little bit about the flaps. You do this. The first slot, when you bring your handle down, is slats extend, 280 knots. Up here you can see it. And then the next one goes to whatever's in dialer flap, and that's speed is 255 up to 15. If you want to go down to the max of like 25, you got to get down below 220. Flap speeds are right there, and on down 28, 35, and 50. Slats, dialer flap, 28, 35, and 50. Normal landing flaps at 35 and 50. The throttle's idle, reverse levers are down. Overboost breakout bar. Overboost breakout bar. We call it the breakout bar. That's all. Make sure it's pulled towards you. If it's pushed forward, that's for you really needed power. Let's say you were down to 1 engine, you lost 2. You would push that. Someone might have pushed that full forward. If I had to pull it back, I would assume maybe a kid's been in the airplane. Come here and put your auto brakes to TO. Make sure the anti-skid light is out. Aux hydraulic pump. 2 ways to turn it on for the pushback. One is here, and the other one is up here. We tended to use the box down here by the box. This one because the captain could see it more easily. All right, so Start switches are in. Fuel control switches, cutoff switches are cut off. Set up your radios. Right now would be a good time to start FSiPanel. Let's wake it up. Now remember, we have auto frequency tune in, so I'm going to be looking for delivery to come in. ATIS 2345, delivery 2198. Airline flights, training, KLM, start training. Loading the scenario pack. If you're one of those aircraft I pointed out, the Mad Dog, the PMDG 777-3, Phoenix, A320, etc., hopefully this airplane shortly, it'll load your box for you now and your Glacier control panel. So, KLM 61 Alpha scenario starts now. Contact clearance on 2345. Let's do it this way. So you got to go. It does not tune this one, but you can see that clearance delivery is 2198. It hasn't done. There it is. It just tuned it. 2198 on there, and it'll tune your ground frequency for you in just a minute. But over here, you got to manually tune your 2345 on FSiPanel. ATIS is always 2345. So we're on the way over to Brussels. All we'll have to do is come out of guard, which is 215, and set that up. $23.45. Other than setting minimums, it's the most time-consuming part of the process. $23.45.
H1019er. Transition level flight level 40. Acknowledge received Amsterdam departure information Delta. This is Amsterdam departure information Delta. Main departure runway 18 left. Main landing runway 18 right. Wind 210 degrees at 4 knots. Visibility 10 kilometers or more. Cloud scattered 4,000 feet. Scattered 8,000 feet. Temperature 10. Dew point 6. QNH1019er. Transition level flight level 40. Acknowledge received Amsterdam departure information Delta on first contact.
Alright, we got our ATIS. Put that back over to guard. Clearance delivery is here. But we'll finish our our checklist here. So we got our radio set up. That's clearance delivery. That's ground. That's guard, and that's ATIS. But that'll be set. If you wanted to set, you were going to go on a VATSIM or IVAO. You can do your pre-flight now. Set up your departure clearance. Your initialize the data. ATIS. You need a copy code to do that. Today we're not going to do that. And the real aircraft, we use this for standby flight plan and also for maintenance functions. But some airlines used it for ACARs as well. There's the radios, all set. You can talk on the radios, be your switch on your hand, but you can also push down to radio. A lot of guys use rather than reach up on the yoke when the other guy's flying, they'll use this little button here to talk on the radios. There is a test pattern. We're not going to do it today, and we're going to set our squawk. Squawk, you got to turn it on like that, and then switch it over to TARA. I went on a VATSIM flight with this thing, and couldn't get radar contacts because I never hit that little switch right there. Let's go in, and they're 3 identical radios, and this is this VHF number 3 is dedicated to ACARs. So it's VHF 1, VHF 2, but it's a fully functional VHF radio for the jump seater to use. But when you take out the ACARs indication, you lose your ACARs, of course. So. But you just bring it back over there. All right, and the trims are 0 on the aileron, trims are 0 on the rudder, and the elevator trim we set already. So that's it. We come to the overhead. We would do a PA, people just kind of welcome aboard. Seatbelt sign is on. Let's call. And Chi-Pole clearance. This is KLM 61 Alpha. We're at gate Delta 52. Information Delta. Like clearance to Brussels.
KLM 61 Alpha delivery hello. You're clear to Brussels as 5. Runway 18 and left. Good to Echo departure. Squawk 1246.
Okay, KLM 61 Alpha cleared to Brussels as filed. Runway 18 left. Kudo to Echo departure. Squawk 1246.
KLM 61 Alpha readback is correct. When ready for push, contact ground 121.805. Have a nice day.
121.805 when ready for push. KLM 61 Alpha U2. All right, 12146 is set, TARA, and it's on. And come in here. We are all buckled up. They're ready out downstairs. So let's give them a call. We'll do our checklist first, guys. FMS, MCDU, IRS, and nav and align. Hydraulic panels checked. Fuel panels checked. Emergency light is armed. No smoking. All this is something we'd run to together. We just did that together. 5 minutes prior. Seatbelt sign status page. Clear to push is going to be the hydraulic pump and beacon, and then ignition. Hydraulic pump, beacon, and ignition. Anyway, we would go through that together. And ground is, it'll change the frequency. You got to push it over though. 21.805. There it is, 21.805. Thank you, FO. Look outside. Back inside. Dipole ground, KLM 61 Alpha is ready for push and start. Information Delta off Delta 52.
KLM 61 Alpha, ground NO, push and start approved, facing east.
Hello, and push and start approved facing east for KLM 61 Alpha. Alright guys, so our plan is to push nose to the right, which is facing east. Pretty tight on the stairs out there, huh? So let's get GSX back on
This
board.
parking is too small for your aircraft.
Release parking brakes, please.
Alright, remember to release the brakes. Now we have to push on the pedals. There you go.
Commencing push. All engines clear. Start at will.
Alright guys, we want the beacons on. This on, ignition on. And remember we have to go down to the aux pump is on. Checklist complete. Clear to start. Start switch is out. We would normally check the air page. We'd see the pressure drop on the air. There it is. See the pressure come down? It's usually we need a minimum of 25. It dropped down to 25 after it opens. So that's pretty cool. That's modeled. Once we're above 15 and we have good oil pressure, which we do, we can bring the fuel lever up. We're going to start 312. 312. We're going to be looking for 2, 4, 6, 8 the oil, and 12 on the fuel flow. So 20%, 460. It gulped the oil. See, it was at 22. It's down to 18. I love TFDi. Took the time to do that. And at 45% start valve closed, you know the lightning bolt disappeared and the switch went in. Number 1.
Please set parking brakes.
Set the brakes. You got to push on the brake pedals and click on the handle.
Waiting your confirmation for a good engine start.
All right, so we're going to go. There's a good oil pressure, and we would have checked the air. Make sure we have at least 25. You can see we have 30. See how it dropped down? But this one came back up after the valve closed. Pretty cool. Start it. Let me get rid of these guys.
Cockpit to ground. We have a good engine start. You can disconnect.
Unlocking gear.
Pardon me. Just getting back into it. Came back late last night. 45%, you're going to see the ignitions go off. There we go. Start valve closes. We're going to look for 2. See how this one's 2, 4, 6, 8 the oil, and 1,200 on the fuel flow. If you were at 8,000 feet like Bogota, this would be up around 1,700. But around sea level, it's 1,200. That just tells you that you're not stuck in approach idle, or you're not stuck with the throttle, or the throttles aren't advanced. So it's a double check. 2, 4, 6, 8 the oil, and it also makes you check the oil.
Track disconnected.
Because you have certain oil burns that you have to comply with.
Left is clear, right is clear.
Number 2 starting, and we go to the air. There it is again. See, minimum of 25. With the valve open, it goes up. See these 2, they're up. That's because the valve is closed. I just love that they took the time to model that. They're above 15. We have good oil pressure. Fuel switch coming up. Oh, they're out there already. Hold on. let the FO start that. Flash this guy. There you go, my friend. You can go. They're running away. Good. 45%. You'll see the ignition go out. Start valve's closed. You have 3 good starts, and I have a salute. Would be the call. I'm going to set my flaps. All that I'm doing at home here is clicking twice. First one goes slats extend, and I click it the second time, it goes to whatever's in dial of flaps. Pretty cool, huh? And then I'm going to go config. I want to show you something on air while I'm here. So the blue is what you have selected. This is the inlet temperature coming out of the duct. That's your pack selected, 278 there. That's what the temperature, the white is what the temperature actually is. There's your cargo temps. This is the bleed temps coming off there. And here's your landing elevation with the start valve all open. That's your temperature off of, looks like off of the bleeds there, right there, sorry. Looks good. All right, so I'm gonna go to config page now. And we're gonna check a couple of things. Brakes and tire temperatures. Brakes and tire temperatures are all good. Stab trim is good. Off the takeoff page. The FO checks the ailerons, the tops in the elevator, ailerons and spoilers, plus the elevators. Captain holds on to the nose wheel steering while he checks the full throw on the rudder pedals. You didn't want to do that ever until the guys have cleared. You notice that we don't have a green box yet, even if we turn off the parking brake. So I'm going to go and arm the spoilers, and I double check there's a green box, reset the brakes, and I go to checklist. There it is after start, engine ice, APU, flaps, config page, flight control, stab trim, glare shift control panel. We could do some of this here, but we'll do it on the taxi out. So I have checklist is complete. We're going to go back to engine page here. We go to status page one more time. Make sure there's no unwanted items. We check the green box. We know we've got everything like we want it. And looking good. Clear left. Tell them I have a salute. Clear right. Review what we're anticipating on the taxi instructions. If you remember, we're planning on pushing back. You guys can see that. We've done that Alpha 9 Bravo, left on Bravo, and see what they give us going to 18 left. And want to make sure we're on ground still, which we are. Shipole ground, KLM 61 Alpha. We're pushed off gate D52 taxi.
KLM 61 Alpha, taxi Alpha 9 Bravo, all short of Alpha 12.
KLM 61 Alpha, Alpha 9 Bravo, hold short 12. Alright guys, we'll turn on our taxi lights. And I want to check a couple of things here. APU, you can see because they started on the APU panel, on the electrical panel, it shut down as soon as the 3 engines started. The APU bleed was deselected, and we have no messages. We're good to taxi, and the aux hydraulic even shut off for us at the start. Here we go. Clear left, clear right. Step on the pedals, releases the brakes. You can see the messages gone, and off we go. 40% breakaway thrust. If you need more than that, call up tower. Make sure there's no small aircraft behind you, or ground equipment, or trucks, or personnel, if you need to come up above 40%. Left on, coming out Alpha 9, clear left, clear right. One from Ama there. This guy's going to play chicken here. Alright, we're going to do a little simism. I have crash override set for ground objects, so let's... Why would you do that, buddy? You coming to help me? No, we're good. We're good. We've already been towed. We're good. I have special qual to put in between the mains in the center. I think it taxis well, guys. I had somebody complain about it, but I mean, it's Microsoft Flight Simulator. Sometimes you do need little inside brake. Square the turn off on this big aircraft. I am tapping the inside brake a little bit. All right, that's Alpha 10 right there, and he told us to hold short of Alpha 12. So we're going to get our takeoff data. We're going to get our weights, winds, and temperatures. Weights being update your zero fuel weight, compare that to your takeoff data. Winds, make sure you have a headwind. If you have a tailwind, it's 1 for every knot. You can take 10 knots tailwind. You have to take whatever's on your TPS. Sometimes it's like 1,500 pounds, 10 knots, 15,000 off the runway limited. Weights, winds, and temperatures. If you're doing max, anything over what you planned for, you need new data. It's Alpha 11 here, Alpha 12's up here. Hold short. Taxiway is clear. But assumed we're doing a 59, so it'd have to be above 59. Present temperature is 10. So weights, winds, and temperature check. Takeoff data and bugs are checked. Glare shield control panel right up here. You got flight level 60, runway heading 250. We'll get everything armed before we get on the runway. I don't arm the auto flight, so I'm on the runway in case I go over 70%. You're in a world of hurt if it goes toga on you. There we go. Hold short of Alpha 12.
KLM 6-1 Alpha, are you able to depart from Echo 5?
We looked at that, right, guys? So, yeah, affirm we can. So you click on one and say, affirm we can take Echo 5, sir.
Roger, KLM 6-1 Alpha, taxi Echo 5, hold short of runway 18 left, and contact tower 119er, decimal 230. Have a nice day.
KLM 61 Alpha, Echo 5, hold short of 18 left, contact tower. Good day. KLM 61 Alpha. 119230 is set for me. Thank you, FO. Echo 5's up here. Flight attendants prepare for takeoff. You chime them when takeoff's imminent. Make the PA no later than 2 minutes prior and chime them when takeoff's imminent. Guys, a lot of the things I'm saying are old American Airlines procedures. Some of them differ from other airlines, but most of them are pretty standard around the world. And tower KLM 61 Alpha is ready for takeoff at Echo 5 for 18 left.
KLM 61 Alpha Tower, hello, runway 18 left, intersection Echo 5, line up and wait.
Hello, line up and wait. 18 left, intersection Echo 5, KLM 61 Alpha. All right, line up and wait. We look out on final, which is right off our nose there, and it's clear. Square the turn off. Your nose gear, guys, is right where the vertical speed, the airspeed tape is on this airplane. Like that on the Boeings, too. I think the Airbus, like the A320, I determined it wasn't. But for the Boeings and on this one, that is where your nose gear is. I can prove it to you, but you're going to have to take my word for it. I don't have time. So here we go. Watch this. Remember we set our flows? You can go this, lineup flow. And it's going to set our lights on. And all we would have to do is chime. It's got everything set there. Lights are set. Strobes are on. Final's clear. Line up and wait. When we get out here, I'll set up my glare shield control, my flight control panel for you. I'm a big one for not doing that until it's part of my pre-takeoff check. We're going to go nav and profile, then arm the auto flight. And that'll give us V2 up to 3,000 because that's what we have set, and then it will accelerate for us. We got to remember 2,000, we got to go to
KLM 61 Alpha, wind calm, runway 18 left, clear for takeoff, passing 2,000 feet, contact departure, 119er decimal 055.
KLM 61 Alpha, clear for takeoff, passing 2,000, 119, 055, thanks. All right, let's go to the overhead. We go, we got the lights are on. We got to chime these guys because takeoff's imminent. Now I'm going to go auto flight on, arm the nav, watch down here, and profile on. Everything's armed. Come back inside. That's where my nose wheel is. Looks good. Bring my throttles up at 70%. It's going to go into toga power. We're looking for 98.5. Sometimes it goes a little high and then rolls back. Here we go. Everything's coming up normally. Bring the throttles up past 70. This one bleeds off. I think I have a pack soft takeoff. 80 knots. Takeoff clamp. We're going to go 2 to 3 degrees per second up to about 20 V1 or rotate. It's flying nice now, guys. I have my flight controls, all the sensitivities on default. They've really adjusted those. You don't need to be doing that minus 60 anymore. Right up into the bars, nice and gentle. Positive brake gear up. I'm going to go auto flight on, pilot on, because I've got a lot to do here. And 119.005 when we come out, and 3000 I want to get my, it's going to go nav, make sure that's flying the nav. It's good. There it is. You can see V2. There's 2000. We're going to go to the departure. Departure KLM 61 Alpha is out of 2 for flight level 60. Out of 3000.
KLM 61 Alpha, departure level identified, continue climb, flight level 80.
Continue climb, flight level 80, KLM 61 Alpha. Alright, flight level 80 is set. Alright, there's flaps up. 3000, it's starting to accelerate. Slats retract. That's 80. We're VNAV, LNAV. There it is. Climbing to 8. After takeoff, climb check. Brakes are off. Spoiler levers disarmed. Status page. EAD. Everything's good. After takeoff, climb check's complete. And it's flying. We're out of flight level 60. So we got to come up here and get the altimeter set. 1013. And there's no way to 2992 set there.
KLM 61 Alpha, contact Amsterdam, 125.75. Have a safe flight.
2575, have a good day. KLM 61 Alpha. All right, 2175, give it a second. 3, 2, 1. And he puts it in there for me. Amsterdam, KLM 61 Alpha, leveling at flight level 80.
KLM 61 Alpha identified, climb flight level 130, final to there for you, and proceed direct to Woody.
Direct Woody up to flight level 130, KLM 61 Alpha. All right, 130, put that in the window, in the flight control panel. There it is. That's what we asked for, that's what we got. And direct Woody, come down here, direct. Woody, we asked the other person, how does that look? They say, good. Good, okay. So then you go direct Woody and you execute it. Alright, we're out of 10, so we can come up here. We can de-sterilize them. We're 10,000 feet above the ground. Lights are out and altimeters are set. Setting for 13. There you have it. Let's go to checklist. After takeoff checklist. Spoilers, gear, flaps, auto brake selectors, slabs, EAD, check for no messages. 10,000 foot stereo cockpit, landing lights, transition. We set the flap to 15. We did a dial flap, and we got 1013 is set. And what we need to do right away is get the ATIS for Brussels, because we are going to be landing here shortly.
220 degrees at 5 knots. Visibility 10 kilometers or more. Clouds scattered 4,000 feet. Scattered 8,000 feet. Temperature 10. Dew point. This is Brussels Information Mike. Landing runway 01 RNP approach. Departure runway 25 right. Wind 220 degrees at 5 knots. Visibility 10 kilometers or more. Clouds scattered 4,000 feet. Scattered 8,000 feet. Temperature 10. Dew point 8. QNH 1019er. Transition level flight level 50. Runway 25 left closed. Acknowledge received. Brussels Information Mike on first contact.
Alright, Information Mike, and they are no longer, now they are on runway 01 RNP. So they're on this approach. So I got to change that in the box real quick. We're going direct to Woody. After Woody, start with the runway. RNP 01 right, or RNP 01. RNP 01. And we got to get the minimums in. Category C, 497. My decision altitude. And Woody, no transition. You look at the box. Woody and Bun Ginku. That's 25 left. So I didn't get that in there right. So I gotta go back in here. I must not have selected something after I did. Let me show you a little trick here. I did notice that with this. It's kind of funky. There's RNP, right? What do we say it was? What a memory. 497. Insert. And then you put in your transition and insert it. It's off Antwerp. AFI. So we're coming in here. It's going to be off Woody, then the Antwerp. AFI. Coming all the way around Rudel. Man, that was tricky. Rudel.
KLM 61 Alpha, contact the Brussels arrival, 118.255.
118.255 for KLM 61 Alpha. It's a busy little flight, guys. 118.255. You got to give it a second to tune itself. And information, Mike. And KLM 61 Alpha information, Mike, at flight level 130.
KLM 61 Alpha, Brussels arrival, hello, you are identified, you are cleared, Woody 8 Alpha arrival, expect RNP approach runway 01.
Good, the Woody 8 Alpha arrival, expect the RNP 01 for KLM 61 Alpha. Alright, so let's get the star in here, star. Woody 8 Alpha. Woody BR 202. Antwerp above 7. Antwerp above 7. Approach. RNP.
KLM 61 Alpha, descend flight level 70.
Flight level 70, KLM 61 Alpha. Alright, flight level 70, put that in the window. We are all pink on the PFD, if you notice that. So it'll descend when it hits the vertical deviation indicator. Alright, so back to our briefing. We did it up to Antwerp, above 7. And after Antwerp, it's the Antwerp transition. We've got ANT, Antwerp AFI, with no, that's a Afalgim. Sorry about my pronunciation for you guys that are from there. We talked about this already. Rudel, 220, and above 2, that's in there. You got Navor, Boris, 2000. BRF at 2000. That's an important altitude. So it's once we're inside of BRFs at 10, which is the FAF, we can set our missed approach altitude of 4,000 because we're more than 300 feet above it. We'll talk about that in a second. I've also got to go check a 3-degree glide path on final on here, and look for my RNP, and it's 0.3. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to go to Prague. We don't have to change it on this airplane. Wrong airplane. I've been flying too much 777. And after landing, that's important. Taxi, airport briefing, 10-9. Let's see if we can figure this one out. So we're going to be coming in. Landing on 1, and it's got 9,000 feet of runway. I'll go brakes min. landing on 1, left-hand turnoff. We're parking at gate supposedly 237, which is right there. Remember, I did this on the other airplane. Right at the end of this finger. So it's going to be a left-hand turnoff, probably down at Echo 6, Echo 7, and probably take inner 7 to inner 8, inner 9, inner 7, inner 8 to the last gate on the end of that terminal.
KLM 61 Alpha, turn right heading 220.
Right heading 220, KLM 61 Alpha. Let's go heading. Heading 220, it's on the descent, descending down to 7. We'll see how this works out. And it should be slow into 250 below 10. Hopefully it does that, otherwise we'll have to take it over. Call Telmarana 13 for 7. Transition level was 5 on the ATIS, so flight level 50. So the first altitude will be 4,000, the first 1,000. See if it figures it out here. There's 250 below 10. All right, so the checklist. Descent, FFNC, landing data, SDP check, transition altitude. Okay, that's good. Flaps 35, 150, that makes it easier. And let's make sure it slows 250 below 10, otherwise we're going to click up on this altitude to altitude hold it. Is it going to do it?
KLM 61 Alpha, descend 4,000 feet, QNH 1019er, and turn left heading 170.
4,000, left heading 170, 1019, KLM 61 Alpha. All right, left's 170. Guys, we're going to go. For whatever reason, it definitely did not want to slow down to 250, so I had to take it over. Below 10, didn't quite get there, so that's good. That is coming down below 250, 170 on the heading. Heading select 170, and we're at 10, slowing to 250. Let's go to the overhead while it slows. And we go, flight attendants prepare for landing. Lost my connection. And we chime the seatbelt sign. Make our PA. Off we go, 170 down to 4. Getting ready. Altitude. 4,000. 4,000's in the window. We're out of 10, 4,000, everything's set. Online services unreachable, successfully connected. Thank you very much. So there, we're good out of 10. And here we go. Yeah, maybe it would have. I don't think it was going to. Connection to online service has been restored. A little bit of a decrease to your immersion once again. So we're on vectors, so we're really not on any kind of approach. Once we are cleared for the RNAV approach, we'll be able to set our minimums. Brussels approach, RNAV. of 497. There we come. So we're kind of heading over towards Effulgem. I'm not sure where they're going to clear us direct to. By the way, there's Pappy's on the left, Mausers on the right. In the event of missed approach, it's going to be a turn 305. We'll be in at 400 feet. We'll go nav. And as we pass 1,000 feet, we'll just go level change and about 210 on the airspeed. That's our plan with flaps 28. I've got terrain selected, data, traffic, and airport here. It's really just got us on a heading right now. Yeah, this FSiPanel on this one is the third time I've done this profile. First one I got ILS 25 left. Second one I got 07 VOR, and this one now I'm getting the RNAV. Pretty cool. He mixes it up. FSiPanel, pretty awesome, guys. That's why I leave it there in the bottom corner of my presentation, along with TFDi. So I appreciate them, and FSiPanel, I appreciate them. So give them the publicity that they deserve. The links for FSiPanel will be in my description, as well as the links to other MD-11 videos that I've done. When I was under the quality assurance, I shouldn't be talking about below 10, right? And remember, my transition, he said 4,000 in the altimeter. We can set that now, 1019.
KLM 61 Alpha, descend at 3,000 feet, reduce speed 220 knots or less.
Send to 3,000, 220 or less, KLM 61 Alpha. All right, there's 2,000 is set. Altimeter is 1019 is set. Airspeed, bring that down 220 or less. Let's go to 210. And pull on it. And below 280 flaps, and below 20,000 feet too. Flaps, slats extend. Our next speed is below 255. We can go flaps 15. We'll get that set. And down to 3,000. Altimeter is set. Transition out level is 5,000 according to the ATIS. So here we go. Altimeters are set. And we did the flight attendants prepare for landing. Still hasn't cleared us for the approach. When he does, it's going to be 2 buttons, 2 windows. The 2 buttons are nav and profile. The 2 windows are minimums, and we'll put in 500 there, and airspeed intervene. Here's 4 for 3. I did a video on that. That link will be in my packages, and it was done with FSiPanel for pattern work. It's only 6:20 in the morning here. I try to get this stuff done before my wife wakes up, so it doesn't interfere with our day. She likes that I do this stuff. Okay, leveling off at 3, flying along with the airplane. That's 3.
Altitude.
It's scattered at 4,000. Looks a little lower than that, doesn't it, guys? At least out here.
Altitude.
I'm not sure if he's going to vector us to final or for the whole approach, so I'm kind of ready for both. Here we are out here. I'm kind of half expecting Rudell.
Altitude.
And it's a 2200 and 220 max. I don't know how JP does this stuff. It's pretty cool. Just waiting for the vectors. What a beautiful paint job, huh? Maybe it's a vector to final, guys. Perhaps. In the real world, it usually is a vector to final. It usually is not a, you know, fly the whole RNAV from way out here. Just too busy, generally. So far, the airplane's performing flawlessly. Me, not so much, but the MD-11 is performing very well.
KLM 61 Alpha, turn left to Boros.
Left to Boros, KLM 61 Alpha. Let's go to the box. Boros, direct. Boros, execute. And nav. There's nav. Direct to Boros. We look at our approach. Boros is at 2,000 and it's 10.8 miles from the field. And we've got 10 miles to go there, so we're in no hurry to slow down anymore. You'll notice this is very unique to the MD-11, well, this generation. See the turn point it created? So sometimes we do a thing to kind of clean it up. As we roll out of the turn, we'll do direct Boros again. Otherwise, it'll try to correct back to this course, which is what it does in the airplane. Next thing you'll hear is, hey KLM, what are you doing? And something pilots never want to hear. So I'll get that ready to go. And direct to Boros. Right about in there. Let it roll out. And I think he'll be a lot happier with that.
Stabilizer motion.
I'm going to get my heading ready to go. Missed approach, I think I said it was 4,000. We'll have that ready to go. Remember, the three things you want to get is preset your missed approach airspeed, preset your missed approach altitude, and preset your missed approach heading. If you have to go around, it is going around flaps 28, positive rate gear up, set missed approach altitude, which would be 4,000. And passing 400, get it back into nav or heading select, whatever they give you. And 4,000. And then above 1,000, start cleaning up either in level change or profile, but usually we'll go level change, pull on the altitude knob for 3,000 and put the speed around 210 at passing about 1,000. Now once they clear us again, remember we're going to go 2 buttons, 2 windows. 2 buttons, we're going to get this all into pink. We're going to go profile, nav, and then we're going to open up, make sure this window's open and put in the minimums here, which would be about 500, 497. Kind of late to the game, but I'm putting in 497 here. Always a fun thing. Should have put the mins in earlier. Because
KLM 61 Alpha, descend at 2,000 feet and you're clear MD-01.
Send it 2,000 feet and we're cleared the RNP to 01 KLM 61 Alpha. We are cleared. So what are the 2 things? They are, we're cleared, so it's profile, nav, that's set. I can actually set in my mins here for 500. So 2 buttons, 2 windows, profile, nav, 2 windows. We got min set and we open, make sure we have the speed controlled. And I'm going to bring the speed back to 180. And there's bars for 5 miles away. So I'm going to go gear down. And it's at about 2 at Boros.
KLM 61 Alpha, contact tower 118.605. Bye-bye.
118.605. Bye-bye. KLM 61 Alpha. 118.605. Wait for it. There it is. And tower KLM 61 Alpha is on the final for RNP to 01.
KLM 61 Alpha, tower hello, wind calm, runway 01, your gear to land.
Good land 01, KLM 61 1 Alpha. All right, guys, let's get this thing configured. We can go FMS speed, flaps 35, got gear down, flaps down, green box, spoilers arm, brakes are min. There's our vertical track indicator. It's picking it up nicely. If you remember on the landing, get that ready. Runway 01, probably clear down at Echo 6 for the inner. Going to park in this area. All right, profile to 500 feet, looking good. Once we're inside of the FAF, we can set our missile approach altitude, which is 4,000. You don't want to do it now because it'll just climb up to 4,000. So just leave it. It's trying to cross Bro at 2,000. There it is. So when that turns, right now we're 0.6 miles. When that turns white, it'll start down, and we'll be able to put in our missed approach altitude of 4,000. There we go, right there. Where is it? I put in a missed approach altitude of 4,000. You got to be more than 3,300 below your missed approach altitude, which of course we are. All right, 4,000 set, runway heading set, bugs are set, runway in sight, cleared to land. You can see these approaches, these RNP approaches, you got to watch the glide path. It sometimes is funky. If you had an ILS, you'd cross-tune that. Of course, if you had that, and we're stable, you would have put that in already. But the VTI is showing we're a little bit high, looking good. Looking outside, that's about right. I would say we're a little low. That's what it feels like to me. So runway in sight, autopilot's off. I'm going to pull the nose up just a little bit so I can pick up the VASIs. Even though the VTI says we're right on. Yeah, there we are. I feel like we're a little low.
500.
Stable, target, sinking 6 or 5.
500. 500.
See that the VTI is right on.
500.
Left-hand turn off, guys. All right, there. I feel like now we're picking up a 3-degree glide path, and the VTI confirms that.
400.
Try to get a nice landing. I'm going to get our landing graded for touchdown zone, sync rate, and distance from center line. So try to do a nice one. Break the sync at around 40 feet. VTI is right on. Can't really see any VASIs here. There it is. Now I got them.
200.
Remember, my nose wheel is where the speed tape is. So get it over there, Captain.
100. 50. 40.
Break the
30,
sync.
20. 10.
Not too bad. Keep it on center line. Otherwise, I get unsafe landing out of it. Go to reverse on 03. You know what? I don't think I programmed. So the call would be no reverse number 3. No, I think maybe it's working. There we go. Oh, look at, I drifted off center line. He's going to hammer me for that.
Stabilizer.
All right, so we're going to get off here.
KLM 61 Alpha, like it left, and turn left on inner, contact to ground, 121.880.
Okay, left on inner, 21880 for KLM 61 Alpha. So guys, when I start bringing up the flaps, it's going to run the after landing check for me, or I can do this. But here we go. 21880. And ground KLM 61 Alpha on the ground for gate 237.
KLM 61 Alpha, ground hello, continue. Inner 8 Tango, and your stand is 237. Have a good day.
Inner 8 Tango, stand 237, KLM 63 Alpha, 61 Alpha, you too, sir. All right, guys, let's take a look here. When in doubt, right? Okay, it's right on the right here. Right on the right. So flaps are up, gears up. APU should be starting. It's started. Lights are all off. Thank you very much. And our gates over here. Gate 237 on the end. Right there. I hope you enjoyed that, guys. MD-11, I love it. I love the product. It does a great job. It's a little quirky in terms of the airplane's
Hi guys, JP, welcome to Brussels. I hope you liked this very short flight, and there is a new feature on FSiPanel 2020 Advanced Edition. On this scenario particularly, you might get up to 3 different approaches. So if you try again the same scenario, you might get another type of approach. So it is random, and there is up to 3 approaches on this scenario. Thank you for flying. Any comments? I'm very happy to get your comments on the Discord channel. Thank you guys, and see you next time for another scenario. Bye-bye.
Ah, JP, I love that guy. He's awesome. All right, brakes are parked. And want to go down and make sure you park the brakes by holding them, clicking the handle. Brakes are parked, overhead. Seatbelt sign is off. APU is established. You may chop them. 1, 2, 3. And now we can do the after landing flow. We already did that. And we do the shutdown flow. If we go to the overhead, brakes coming, everything's coming down. APU seem to have tripped off, guys. Seem to have tripped off. So let's do this. Let's get GSX going. That's not uncommon.
Requested.
That might have been me. So let's go to the box. We'll get them to ground service it. Put in the GPU. Put in the chocks. And when the chocks are in, we can take off the brakes. Let's go to the overhead. We can turn off the windshield anti-ice. Yeah, the APU did kick off. Might have been something I did, but I don't think so. So emergency power is off. RUs are off.
Passengers deboarding starting.
See how the yaw dampers come on when the hydraulic winds down. There, the APU is starting. So we really don't want to kill the air until those guys are all off. And we should have 3 lights off on, 3 lights off down here. Right, and turn down the lights. See if maybe, let's see something here. Let's shut down.
Good morning.
Yeah, it's all done. Okay, that's good. Makes me happy. Let's go outside. Nice job, TFDi. Really appreciate you guys. All right, guys, that's Father Time. That's Amsterdam to Brussels, Belgium. And thank you for flying with us. And please don't forget to comment if you want. Go to the Discord channel. Get the FSiPanel. Get the MD-11. You got to get it. It's fantastic. You cargo guys, you can have a blast with this thing, and all of us can. All right, guys, Father Time is out. We'll see you later from Brussels, Belgium.